welcome everyone and welcome Sangita. Today we're going to have some fun with a great conversation. We are with Sangita Kathiwada, who it's hard to describe you, Sangita, in one word. You've been trained as a graphic designer, as a jewelry designer in London, as an interior decorator, as a photographer. You're a huge philanthropist, and you are, kind of a last word in fashion in a lot of the circles. And you stand for sustainable fashion, and you're also the Rajmata of Kathiwada. So there's a lot of hats you wear. So what I thought is today we'll just go through all these different garbs you wear. And of course, I want to start with my favorite version of you, which is Mélange. And I have to say that I especially wore this today because this bears the little, where is it? The little Mélange
Oh my.
tag on it. I've had this for over 20 years, and it's one of my most favorite pieces that I have. And so, Sangeeta, I really want to talk about the amount of work you've done to bridge between crafts and high fashion. So the story goes that you saw this 100-year-old cellar in Altamont Road and envisioned to transform it into Melange. So tell us a little bit about the store that after 25 years, it's still a buzzing place for everybody to shop. And tell us about the store and where did this whole idea of connecting the craft to the high fashion come to you? And tell us about that.
Thank you so much, Lakshmi, for such a wonderful, warm, glowing introduction. And I think you bring out the best in people and stop me if I get carried away and share more than what is
It's the
necessary.
stage is yours.
Thank you. Thank you, and happy to meet everyone this morning. Mélange was a passion project we started where about 31 years ago. We completed 31, we'll be completing
Yeah.
32 years this September. I grew up in a family in central India in Indore where sustainability was the buzzword, not the way it is talked about today. It was just the way of living. I mean, it's been so much is being made of sustainability today. We didn't even use that word. We just lived sustainable. Like we had the tree worship in home. Any plastic bag that came home was used and reused till it would be in shreds. There was no single use plastic bags. We always had cloth bags to carry to the market. So we lived that sort of a life. So it was ingrained in me from childhood that we don't waste, that we don't dump the Mother Earth with all the things that we use for ourselves. And then when I moved to Mumbai and studied design, so there was an inherent talent which I had to qualify to make it sharp and professional. And then I started business in that. So I studied design for 6 years, graphic design, and the satellite courses were interior design and mass communication. And I'm so happy I studied that because I could then bring it into a professional way into my business and not just depend on an inherent talent or an environment that I grew in. And therefore, when I couldn't find clothes to wear, I wear only cottons or silks or natural fabrics, and I just couldn't find anything. I said, why not I start making my own clothes? And the first thing to go to was, of course, fabric and textiles. And in that wanting to source wonderful textile, I visited close to 80 studios in India, and I was able to shortlist about 14 to 16 designers who came on board who agreed with me that they will work with natural fabrics and they will send clothes in cotton bags in thelis, that was my biggest challenge because they were just not agreeable. They said putting it in plastic is mandatory because it starts to rain and clothes will get spoiled. I say I'll arrange for somebody to come to your studio, whether it was in Bangalore or Hyderabad or Delhi. They'll come on a train and they'll bring back the stuff, and we really did it. The
Yeah.
designers in those days so innocent, and they said, no, no, we'll bring our clothes in a suitcase. We get to see you. I had an apartment they could stay in. So we started very innocently, very passionately, and the
And you also had like bamboo hangers and cloth. I mean, everything was
Yeah.
sustainable
So we didn't
without
want to
20,
use
31 years ago.
Totally.
Yeah.
We didn't want to use plastic. Today,
Yeah.
I get on the phone and in 1.5 minutes, I can order what I need. In those days, it took 6.5 months to get these hangers from Manipur, which were bamboo hangers, actually grass hangers, which my uncle from Calcutta sourced. From his factory, one man went to this craftsperson. So we sat there because he didn't know how to give us 500 hangers. It was so innocent and so artisanal and so handmade. So those hangers came, and I personally went to the railway dockyards with Vikram Sardesai and Milind Nafre from Rajiv Sethi's company. I
Yeah.
actually went myself to buy wood, which was already cured but was not being cut because these are like 100-year-old wooden logs. So we used
Mhm.
that. So I took it to another extreme. All the paper bags were recycled handmade paper. And we
Mhm.
also use some schools from Napier Sea Road where the children make the paper just as a sample. And then, of course, we had to do factory production, but with the paper that was recycled. So yeah, that was 31 years ago, and the journey has been beautiful. And it still continues. I have to say that it was last year that I took a decision that we are now working only with weavers in Banaras, and we are not working with designers at the moment because their patterns of buying and selling have changed. There's so many other avenues that designers can um, reach out to their clients directly. So yeah, it's been a
Mhm.
wonderful journey.
So just to expand on that a little bit, Sangeeta, actually, when you started, I think some people predicted that you're going to shut the shop in like a year. You sort of, what is this sustainable, and like who will get crafts into high fashion, etc. And you actually worked with a lot of fashion designers, people like Sabyasachi and Akina Rula. There were so many of them that were launched by you. Tell me a little bit about, it was like you were the venture capitalist to the startups in those days, so you worked with a lot of designers. Like, how did you pick them? Like, what did you see in a designer? I mean, we ask a venture capitalist and they say that, maybe their experience or their, technical knowledge or whatever. So, I mean, in those days, every designer would want to be in your store because that was like a seal of approval that it's in your store. So, tell me a little bit about that time and how did you pick the designers? How did you know who had a future?
So, first of all, to call me the venture capitalist, I wish I had heard you 35 years ago and had converted this business into a big commerce, which I failed at doing because I didn't understand finance. Today, people have businesses in fashion, and may God bless them. In 5 years, they attract 100 crores. What was I doing? I wish I was more savvy about money. I
Yeah.
think what I did was create wealth of talent, but
Yes,
I
yeah.
didn't understand VC and the money side of the business, but I was always conscious that it must sustain itself even financially. So to answer your question specifically, I think there was something that I had a nose for it. Like I would see somebody and their work and creation, and I knew that there was something special in it. And
Mm-hmm.
as a human being, the person had to be slightly eccentric. When I talked to them, I didn't want to hear pretty things and nice things and I'm making beautiful clothes. There had to be something which was little mad, little eccentric, and that's what brought out the designs in them, where they were willing to take the risk. Lakshmi, not many people wanted to join the movement of no plastic bags. I mean, these 14 to 15 people who agreed to come on board, who were so talented, were also willing to risk it that, okay, since you're saying it, otherwise I said, I'm really sorry, I won't be able to take the collection. So risk taking attitude, little bit of madness and eccentricity was one of the first criteria for me to choose them. And of course, talent had to be there, for which somehow I think there was no training. There was just an instinct. There was just an understanding that, yes, this is different, but not so radically different that people like Lakshmi and I won't be able to wear it. I mean, I'm wearing something which is literally 25 years old, from a young designer who has even closed down his label called Varun Sardana. And if, with your permission, I can get up. I didn't even know we were doing this interview online.
Yes, yes, yeah,
Was
absolutely.
inspired because I was going to become a mother, and then I wanted to do a kangaroo bag at the back.
Yeah,
And then I said, look how the kangaroo takes the baby. And we just designed these clothes, and it's
yeah,
completely hand colored, handmade. It's the color is from charcoal, from stone. So this is how the madness. I mean, I don't even know how this outfit came in my hand today after 15 years. And I just said, oh, I've told
yeah,
let's go down. So things
yeah.
like these, young talent, new people who were wanting to, we were at such a nascent stage of getting into organized fashion selling, which Western world was so smart at. I think we are far more talented. We have amazing crafts that nobody has in the world, but we are not great marketing people. We are not as
Mhm.
organized as structure. Whereas the Western world that makes one black jacket, they sell it to the, to like selling coal to.
Yeah,
So
yes,
uh,
yeah.
it's just that we were not very savvy about it, but we're highly talented, and we did create some amazing stuff. Even today, when I look back at it, 30 years hence, I still have clothes which I wear what designers made 30 years ago. But
So can we talk about like a designer we know today, whether it's Sabyasachi or someone else that you really worked in the early stages? What do you think that they did that made them successful, and what has happened in the culture that made it successful? Is it that there's a lot more buyers now, there's a lot more appreciation now, lot more weddings now, so, but what is it that you think has, I mean, finally India is getting into high fashion. It is getting an international recognition. Maybe it's not where it should be, but still it's getting that. So what have the ones who were successful say? What did you, like, take Sabya for example, what did you see in him at that time that made him stand out? And when you follow him, what has he done? You could take anyone you want, it doesn't have to be him.
so
Just
specifically, since you mentioned Sabyasachi, I think he understands the market very well. Not many highly qualified and highly talented designers understood the market the way Sabyasachi understands the market. He knows the pulse of the market. He knows what people want to buy. He understands the price points. He is very smart about the business side of fashion, and that's what sets him apart from those who didn't create such a large niche. But then at the same time, if I talk about Anna Villa, who worked in sustainability then and continues to do so till now, are
mhm,
also people who probably chose to remain boutique, chose to remain small.
correct.
I chose to remain boutique. I am boutique in all my endeavors because I don't see scale for myself, but I can see scale in others who I work with. And that's fantastic to see. So Sabyasachi was always thinking scale.
Mhm,
Whereas Anna Villa was probably not. Just to give an example, there is Arathrik Bermantilla, who also I launched, and we did Cell Design, the Japanese designer who worked with Shibori. But when you now, Arathrik has suddenly realized the importance of designing for homes and has tied up with Asian paints. So what is wonderful that I've noticed in last 5 years that's happened is that the big corporate labels, corporations are investing in labels. So, for example, Asian Paint went to Arathrik and said, you design clothes, we want you to design wallpaper. So it's a happy marriage, So the designer gets a label, the corporate world gets a design, and that's a wonderful thing that's happening now, which we wouldn't have thought of 30 years ago. We never
mhm,
imagined there's something like this happen, that Birla's invested, in Sabyasachi for him to put up this magnificent store. Now, designers on their individual team still can't do what they can do when a company, a corporate joins, and the corporate is looking at the benefits that they have by investing in individual designers or design companies. For
Hmm.
example, Anita Dongre, she attracted,
Yeah.
again, very business savvy family. So they knew how to organize it. There are many designers who are highly talented, but do not have the backing of either a business family or a corporate sector.
Yes. Yeah, I think, let's talk a little bit about this creativity and business, right? This very you're right. There's very few people where both go hand in hand. The creative people often can't think business, and business people don't often appreciate design. So you talked about staying boutique. I find that very interesting. Let's talk about that a little bit because I think in this world of scale, we forget the importance of boutique also. I think it is important to do what's right for you. For some, it may be important to stay small and just be happy with that. And there's nothing wrong with that. You can be extremely successful just doing that. You've been in business for over 31 years, and that's fine. I mean, that's what you want. So tell me a little bit about what do you think of wanting to stay boutique? Because I feel there is some beauty and commitment in that also.
Oh my God, it's a bigger commitment. Thank you for asking such a wonderful question, Lakshmi, because
Yeah.
it's not many people ask that because everybody talks about big bucks and big money, but success is so relative. For me, remaining small is beautiful and is extremely buying me happiness quotient, and that probably is for me success. Whereas for
Mhm,
somebody else, it must be making those millions of dollars, which makes them happier and is successful. So remaining
mhm.
boutique, I think I cracked upon a sweet model of 30, 30, 30. So I was telling all the 30-year-olds that plan your future for 30 years ahead and work with 30 people in your unit and see the magic of it. So also when I was working with many people now, if they had bigger units or big factories, I chose not to work with them, even though they had something wonderful to offer, is simply because the minute a business becomes bigger, the sustainability practices go out. Whatever
Yeah.
you do, and you're creating carbon footprint, packaging. So for me, that doesn't work. So 30, 30, 30 is a great model. So a 30-year-old starting their journey, if they can plan ahead for next 30 years to remain with working their core group of 30 people where there's designers. And that means you'll be having a smaller office, you'll remain intimate. You also, interpersonal relationships at work are so important. I mean, people are suffering from mental illnesses becoming big. What is the meaning of that? So,
Right.
so that's why remaining boutique worked for me, and creating wonderful relationships at work and with people that I work. And yeah, does that answer your question or?
Yes, absolutely. And I think, you've done the marriage between boutique and depth perhaps, or reaching to a certain target audience. So when we move away from fashion and when we move into your life in Kathiwada, etc., you've been married into the royal family of Kathiwada as a young bride. When you went there was no electricity, and it was a small place, and you've really done, like, Cinderella style makeover in your own words to the place. So tell us a little bit about how was it for you. You're from a regular family, you're like this young woman, and you're just having a great time, and you marry into this family and you go. There are some expectations as the bahu of that house, and of that village. I mean, like, even though royalty no longer is official in India, in the village, in your community, people look up to you to help them, to etc. So how was that for you, going there at that young age to suddenly you know change position?
Do we have 2 hours?
Unfortunately, 5 minutes.
You're asking me to compress 40 years of my magnificent, magical life into like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
I was 24 years old when I got married and went to this forested area where there was no electricity. But, I cannot get into the most beautiful stories, but it was really challenging, very tough, especially when I lost my husband to take over everything, where we were still in Parda because a woman could not imagine someone like me, 21st century woman who had studied design, who lived in Mumbai, who grew up in a very sophisticated business family, who hailed from Rajasthan. So traditional values were very similar to what the royal families, the erstwhile royal families were following in their homes wherever they were, whether in Kathiwada or Udaipur, wherever they belonged to. So fortunately, I had that comfort level that I could wear saris, cover my head. I'd seen my mother do that. But having grown up in a business family where you went to work every single day and going into a royal family where your husband went to play polo every single morning. So it was quite a drastic change. And it was a huge adjustment for me, and it was difficult. I have to say that when I look back, there were lots of challenges. I was finding it very difficult to adjust with their kind of food and lifestyle, whereas, but slowly, because I was younger than how women are getting married now at a later age, I was able to completely be like a sponge and absorb everything and take it on. And as you said, then I was very young and my father-in-law was alive, so I didn't realize what were the expectations. But
Mhm.
going to a place where there was no electricity and being received by 40, 50 women in red and gold saris with thals of little diyas is a movie, for me.
Magical.
Magical, the visual, because I had a ghungat, I had a red and gold sari, and all I could see was their anklets and their gold sari borders, and that was my guideline to reach up to my apartment on third, fourth floor, wherever they took me in the darkness. So I was just following that, and you won't believe it, the memories remain in your mind so strong that now in Kathiawar I offer a meditation in darkness, which is like this. That you have to
Yeah.
walk that narrow path which we show you in the morning at night with just a light at your feet and the person in the front, and people love that darkness meditation, like inspired by Thich Nhat Hanh's
Mhm.
walking in the forest.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so these kind of things remain with you, the memories remain, and they come back in your life to do things. So to work with the tribal community in Kathiawar was difficult, and especially after I lost my husband, to come up front. If that's the question that I can answer, I
Right.
actually
Yeah.
got on a
Actually,
track.
how old were you when he passed away, Sangeeta?
I was 44.
Okay. Okay.
So I
So,
got on a tractor to actually save the land. And with my head covered, one maid holding an umbrella over there, it was so hot. We were planting trees. And that's the only way I could mark the boundary of the land. I did not want to create the walls. I was 100% sure we'll build bridges and not make walls. So to go to their homes, to have conversations with them, to convert them to trust me the way they trusted my father-in-law was a long period. It took me almost 10 years. And now of course, they are part of our family. They all work with us and they all grow. And now we are converting them to grow organically, which took very, very long. They couldn't understand because they would come and laugh at me and say, look, my corn grew so high and yours is only so small because I didn't put pesticides, right? But
yeah.
eventually, I mean, there are too many things that went into it, which for this interview is too short to explain. But
Mm.
it's been a tough ride, and the challenges of working without electricity, also the renovations, making it really, really relevant to contemporary living. So it's also luxurious at the same time is rural and tribal. So I go and
Yeah.
work with the mud as much as with a velvet curtain.
Yes, yeah. So the Kathiwada Palace, it's there, and people can come stay there and stuff. So you've been through a big renovation. Is it all done? Where is it now?
So the renovation was actually done 10, 15 years ago when we opened it to the public and closed it during COVID. And now we have
Yes,
restarted. So we are in Kathiwada
certainly.
NO02. But in this time that COVID happened, we did lots of other things like permaculture, rewilding, rainwater harvesting, reforestation. My son started a huge sports ground during this time while the Mahal has not been operational. And under the Kathiwada Foundation, we are doing a very smart modern school. It would be the most attractive rural not-for-profit school in the whole of Madhya Pradesh. I can safely say that, which will educate 700 children who come from families where they don't have two meals to eat. And I can with 100% confidence say that our children look like cathedral school brats from Bombay.
Yeah.
You know, the
Cathedral school, not brats, but nice kids, hopefully.
very nice brats. I like brats. I don't want sweet people around me. See, I told you eccentricity has some talent.
Yes, yes, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
I want to take a couple of questions that have come, Sangeeta, before we come back. So, you know, uh, Priya says that मुझे work from home करना है, and I want to do work from home. So, what are some suggestions you have for somebody who's interested in fashion design but who wants to work from home?
Well, now all the possibilities are open because brick and mortar was very relevant when we were growing up. Work
Mm-hmm,
from home, and that's exactly what I said, that the designers sitting on their, they have to have an office which is 6 inches big, and they can sell from home, they can create from home, they can converse from home, they can actually be on a Zoom call and design and talk to their clients directly. It's a very, very sort of a gratifying time for those who want to work from home.
mm-hmm,
You could work in the night, you could work during the day, you could set up calls with your clients
mm-hmm.
and create. Yes, it's easy.
Yeah. And also, do you see that? Tell me a little bit about younger designers you're seeing. I mean, it's sort of design has become much more popular now because it was somehow only for a few people, and most of the people felt they don't understand high design, etc. And because of online, because of access, because of the things that you're seeing, etc., people understand fashion, and there's a big crop of younger designers. So tell me a little bit about what is the scene for fashion in India today. What's it going through?
One of the most wonderful thing that I notice is that an actual maker has a direct connect with the actual user. You see, when we had the store and people would walk in, they would say, "Oh, they couldn't imagine that they could reach any of these designers or weavers directly." So that's wonderful that if you're wearing something, what you're wearing beautiful, and if you want to have different colors in this running stitch, you could just go Google and you could find someone and you could directly order with the colors that you want. So
Right.
that's an
Yeah.
amazing thing that the actual user has a direct connect with the actual maker, which is wonderful that happens. Secondly, what is wonderful is the leveling of price points, because
Mm,
no more can somebody sell me something for 20,000 rupees, which actually I should be paying 10,000 for. So that gap in between, which was there, the designers could price their garments anyhow, does not exist. Because if you were trying to sell me something for that, buddy, goodbye. I'll find someone online who will fulfill my demand and requirement. So there's a great pricing level that has emerged, which means an aspirational young girl who's sitting in Chandigarh or Amritsar or Indore can just order online and be smart. I mean, wherever I travel today, even in villages, I mean, girls are so smartly dressed. The accent they didn't have, they have plenty of
right.
it now. They
Yeah.
That is one of the greatest things with technology that's happened, that the market has opened up, more manufacturers, more designers. Some people are making things, they're learning online, they get
Mm-hmm,
inspired by other designers. Everything is available to you on Google, or now
mm-hmm.
ChatGPT could design for you.
Yeah.
Use AI intervention, let's see where it goes.
And we have another attendee asking if someone's not in designing, from design, is not a designer, is there any scope for them in this industry?
There's a huge scope in this industry, and I have actually been saying all along that don't aspire to be a designer of that 2 inches label that you want to see at the back of the cloth. The business, the management of fashion, the styling, the dissemination of fashion, the information, the social media around it, the communication strategies. There are many things that you can do in fashion, working with fashion events, working for a designer who wants to set out runway. So there is events, there's communication, there's social media, there is marketing, there's
Mhm.
management of a label.
There's operations, you know.
Operations. Absolutely, thank you. Yeah, operations in a
Mhm.
factory. There's so many things that a person can do. Styling. If you're
Mhm.
interested in just hair and makeup, for instance, of business, just remaining, it's very narrow to think that I want to be a fashion designer for clothes.
Yeah.
There's design and so many things. You could be just designing hats, or you could be doing, you could design hair, and yeah, management, operations, communication.
It's like any other industry, right? You still need to, produce it in a certain time, send it in a certain time, ship it to a certain place. There's
Logistics,
logistics,
logistics, absolutely.
yeah, all kinds of stuff. And Nazneen is asking what strategy kept you in the work active, even when you had challenges in the phase of women's life, whether it's marriage, child, in-laws, expectations, society, losing your husband, I'm adding, like what made you keep active and keep your cool?
Oh my God, strategy. I never had one. I'm just thinking, I just think, I just think I only jump out of bed to work, to create, and to remain curious. So there was no strategy or plan. I just enjoy creativity, working, and anything that I see new and possibilities within what I have. There are many. Like somebody else
Mhm,
asked, what else can we do? So I just didn't do fashion. I took it to crafts, and we worked with craftspeople. We took it to farming, and we work with farmers. Now I'm working with rewilding. So we are talking to lots of people. Now I'm working with food systems with Rockefeller Foundation. We're working with rewilding with Goldsmith Foundation from England. So anything that you're doing beyond that, there are layers and layers and layers, as much as deeper you want to go. You can become very big or remain boutique, but that also gives you chances to do 100 things. So,
mhm,
so I think just my thirst for curiosity and learning and seeing newness in everything that I was doing, and how I could bring that and connect. And
mhm,
also, what really makes me excited is building bridges between different, creating linkages. So if it's fashion, if it's design, then it's craft, then it's farm, then it's rewilding, then it's wellness, then the living around wellness, luxury, not luxury, all those things just kept me going because I kept
mhm.
finding more linkages.
Yeah. And talking about wellness, you should talk a little bit about that because you're someone I find that you live this world of high fashion and you move in certain circles, and yet you can come and be a simple person with the, you said playing with the mud with a villager, and you're into yoga, you do meditation, and you practice. You're always learning something new. You go learn Sufi dancing, you learn something else. So tell me a little bit about your well-being journey, and you look fantastic, you never age. So tell me like your well-being journey. What's important for you? How do you keep sanity?
So, we are often told that there is something that you learn from adversity. And I would think, like, why should there be adversity to learn something? But, well, it did happen to me. I fell off a tree when I was 18 years old. And I fractured my lower back when I was told that I'll never have children. And I said I was going to prove my doctor wrong. And I took to yoga then, and I've never left it. So I was able to keep myself supple. I had a breech baby, and I went into headstand, and I turned my baby around by just by the practice of yoga. and even the doctors were surprised at how did that happen. So I did believe that, you're born in this temple, which is the body, and I really think that you must worship that. And self care is extremely important, because a healthy body would send me to have clarity in mind, and
Mhm.
be able to take better decisions and be able to do more things. So I was 100% convinced, and I'm very, very attracted to following health regimes. If there are talks on nutrition, health, yoga, I follow that very seriously in my life. It's been a journey of 35 years, and either at Sufi whirling, I practiced Tai Chi for 6 years. I've always practiced something that challenges you physically with your body, because I think the body is so generous. It's just so generous. You just give it a little bit and it gives you back so much in return. And I have actually enjoyed the fruit of that abundance that the body inside just gives you everything if you listen to it.
Mhm.
So yes.
And, and you also love creating physical spaces, whether it is the Kathiwada Palace in Kathiwada or the Kathiwada City House that's in Bombay, which really serves as a place for arts and culture, everything to come together. So tell me a little bit about your journey with Kathiwada City House, which you have created in the middle of Worli, a beautiful space. People can become members and what do you want that space to become when you started that?
So first, I want to answer about creating beautiful spaces. I'm obsessed.
Yes,
I'm
yeah,
totally obsessed. I see, even if I see a party, I start arranging people that why is she standing there? She should be standing there. I have a great head for spatial design. So I understand it by not just instinct, but because I educated in also interior design. I understand spaces very well and how these spaces respond energetically. And then I'm able to bring it energy with some sort of spirituality, and that becomes not just an interior or an architect's design space, but it becomes a more instinctively designed space that comes from the hara, where people just feel comfortable. People just and everybody wonders why. I mean, I'm sitting on the same sofa in my home, but it doesn't feel the same. It's like
yeah.
a friend of mine invited me to do a retreat in Sri Lanka, and she says, but the same retreat you did in my hotel didn't feel at all the way it happened at Katiwada City House. So, also energetically, it's very, very important to bring to space. Design through energy. And at Katiwada City House specifically, we are always, I call it a mini cultural hub, where we have conversations with people. And more, we are having conversations now with philanthropic organizations of the world. So almost like API, Rockefeller was here for 3 days, Goldsmith is coming. So people who are coming from all over the world who want to congregate, and they come here and they sit for 3 days, 4 days, invite people. So it becomes like a safe, loving space for people. Instead of a hotel room, they feel it's very homely. We have great food. It's so seasonal. So that's the function and the role that this place is serving in Mumbai. Also, we work with arts. We work with, like, we had an origami workshop. We work with Lego workshop for mental health. So it's not just doing a workshop. I do find out what it is going to do to you when you do this. So
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of importance being given to neurosciences and how it affects when you work with either paper or folding or Lego. And they're working with children, and they've found amazing results with using these
Mm-hmm.
techniques, and therefore it can apply even to adults. So we choose our workshops. If we're doing art, it's an art therapy workshop, but we also
Mm-hmm.
make it fun. So we have
Yeah.
wine and dine and workshop and fun and serious conversations revolving around finding yourself, and also providing a very, very safe environment for people to come together. We normally club people who come as strangers but leave as friends. We do speed dating. So many different ideas every week happen here, and I love that.
Yeah. No, I really highly, if any of you are in Mumbai, to go check out the Kathiwada City House. And the thing I find that's really wonderful is it's kind of like, we had, during the Renaissance era, there was places, the coffee shops where you went and met people and things like that. And I think you recreated that to bring different people to come and meet each other, like those unexpected connections. And also, I've seen many times you have art shows there, different artists showing their things and people come, etc. So it's really, really a beautiful space. So I want to kind of end our conversation on, there's a lot, sorry, let me just see. I think there are some other questions. Give me 1 second. So, so Gopika is asking, so how can we connect with those people who need someone to take care of their operations department or any management job, etc., in the fashion industry? How do we connect to them?
There are amazing courses available at NIFT and SNDT. You can apply to them and you can opt for business management studies. NIFT offers them in about 10 to 12 cities in India, and SNDT offers it in Bombay and Delhi. But NIFT is a great place to reach out to. Probably by now they've started online courses also, but they
Mm-hmm.
have a course called Management Studies in Fashion. So
Mm-hmm.
it's best to reach out to them.
Yeah, and also taking some courses that lead you to working with fashion houses and things like that. I think.
Yeah.
So, Sangeeta, I wanted to ask you, we've talked about so many things. We've talked about your sense of design. We talked about how you work with the tribals, about taking the position of a Rajmata, etc. But tell me a little bit about this. What is your tool to get over things? Like when you're a young widow, it's kind of tough to um, manage so many things with a son. You're a single parent, you're raising your child, and you're getting yourself into the professional world, etc., etc. So, what are there times when you felt lost or lonely? Are there times you felt, my God, what am I going to do? And what is the thing that helps you most when you're at your lowest?
I think, I don't think in doubles. My journey has been extremely solo, even whether I was a bride or married or mother, or it's very unusual. You asked me that question. I grew up in a joint family, and my mother always said that she just goes her own trip. So uh, I don't know what it is. Maybe some karmic from past life or something. I've been listening to all that. It's just very solo journey. I'm able to come back to myself and do things independently. Of course, having said that, I delegate to a team. I work well with a team. I am in a leadership position, which more and more I want to dissolve because that's too much of a burden to carry, and I'm enjoying the teamwork. And I think everybody should see how one can collaborate more and just
Mhm.
depend on each other more. But I've never thought like that, that now I'm
Mhm.
alone or everybody goes through loneliness. If you don't, then you're inhuman. You must feel
Yeah.
human and feel, because it could be not just loneliness of not having somebody in your life, just of not being able to do something at the right time that you needed to.
Hmm.
But the tool is to come back to yourself and find the answers within. I think that is uh, the most important thing to go to the source and to trust yourself, and then you're able to bring in people. So
Hmm. I
so
think you said something very important, I think, is that at the end of the day, everything we do is an alone journey, whether we're with somebody, not, or whatever. The importance you put on yourself, the importance you put to focus on yourself, is very important. I mean, there's something, I love the words you said in terms of, worshiping the body, in terms of just worshiping our mind, worshiping our soul, being within ourselves also is very, very important, because I think whether it's a child or with a husband or with a colleague or a boss or whatever, it's important to maintain your own space in
Absolutely.
that. And that is something I've seen you do. So you're affectionate, you're there for everyone, but you're very much your own person also.
And that's such an important thing that mostly women are trained not to have. Please grab your space, if I should say,
Yeah.
everybody who's there, including men. But somehow
Yeah.
women are conditioned to believe that because they give birth, they should do everything. So finding your space, finding your time, self-care, and having some routine and discipline really helps. If you think that I'll do this today and I can skip that tomorrow, it doesn't work. So that 2 to 3 hours of self-care, introspection, meditation, work with yourself, think, and that
Hmm.
brings me back to my working day is not work. I don't call it a workplace. I call it a play shop, and
Yeah.
you can just make it fun. And yeah, to go within and the source. There is a wonderful word that I've learned from Osho Common is go to the source. So, whatever even if there's a spring that gets nurtured from a source, and if we are aware and constantly keep going back to the source, that source is feeding me. And that can only be solo. And in
Right.
that journey, you can take everybody.
Yes.
But unless you feel fulfilled yourself, you're not going to be able to.
Yeah. So what's next for you, Sangeeta? What are the new things you're excited about, you're looking at? I mean, you've embraced everything. When social media comes, you get on it, and there's melanges there on Insta, and you really like keep up with the time. So, but are there new other things you want to try? Are there things you want to do? So, what's next? What's
So
coming
there's
up?
one thing that I really don't like doing, and as you said, I have to do it is social media. I'm announcing it loud and clear. I have a whole team sitting behind me and they're smiling because they are the ones who push me to do it. Because
Yeah.
I find it very difficult and stressful to say it all the time to put yourself out there, but it's a necessary evil. So, it is there and you have to do it because that's your first form of communication, and if that is available to people, so be it. You have to give your voice to your thoughts and you want to say it. So this tool is
Mhm.
available. So we are not advertising in a fashion magazine. Okay, say it yourself. So at least it's a wonderful tool which I sometimes enjoy, but mostly I don't. But but what I'm really excited about is creating a nature museum that I'm working with a whole team in Kathiwada. So most royal families have created museums all over the world of artifacts. So I would do a virtual museum only for the reason of academics on history of design, which is started on Kathiwada Rajmahal Insta account. But I want to make a nature museum whereby we have 140 varieties of trees in Kathiwada, where I want to educate through trees. And I think besides languages and education or English or whatever, the trees are the biggest legacy that we can leave behind. And
Mm.
so it's a very unusual thought, like you plant a tree and then how it grows, what happens, to
Yeah.
record it, to make it academic, to put captions, to take out all the various parts, put them in bottles, educate of what all this tree gives us. Because in villages you see children, they're walking and they just hit the tree like that because the
Correct.
sensitivity is not there, that these are
Yeah.
trees which are nurturing you. So also have some beautiful artwork around Mother Earth, soil health, and
Mm.
teach through that and bring in architects, designers, children, tribal community, bring them all together into this living museum, which will also have amazing photographs and drawings, but make it
Mhm.
very avant-garde. I don't want it to be pretty picture of a tree. How do you see tree in a different way when it's talking, or a beetle which is photographed but printed on an aluminum sheet? I mean, she's tiny, but you make her like 7 foot by 7 foot photograph. And in
Yeah.
that, you see 100 things in the tiny
Yes.
medium. You know, when you expand that photograph, oh my God. So I'm very
Yes.
excited about that. All these thousands of creatures that while are working for us while we are sleeping, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this world we live in, we are only one tiny piece of it. We share it with so much of nature. It's a great way to wrap up the conversation. I love the idea of
I hope
nature.
you're joining
Uh,
in planting trees, Lakshmi.
yes, yes, absolutely,
Bring the whole
absolutely.
ink community to the Nature
Yes,
Museum. We'll
absolutely,
make you walk in
absolutely.
the
And we have
forest
the
in darkness.
Turkey community now, the whole, we should maybe do like a little outing, like a bunch of people together to go and plant trees and help you build this nature
Nature
museum.
Museum, yeah. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for your time, Sangeeta, and it's always a pleasure to catch up with you. And thanks for sharing so much. And I really want to leave, requesting everyone to take the time for yourself. I think it's the most important thing is spend time with yourself and be okay with it. And I think it's a great, great insight. So thank you so much, Sangeeta.
Thank you. Thank you, Lakshmi. Great pleasure talking to you all.